So On and On is a marketplace of about 60 different vendors, and each of the vendors has either handmade, vintage, or repurposed products. On and On is deceiving from the outside. We're an old kind of industrial factory building on Kapaus Ave, but once you walk in, it's really big. So we're 2 floors and we're about 6,000 square feet, and all those vendors have their own little spot, and it's just so much to look at. People come in and they can literally spend hours here. Our name On and On, it's because we want to give them a second life. You know, those items that you're discarding that you don't want anymore, somebody else, it's a treasure to them. So, you know, mid-century is really big right now, old light fixtures that they're looking at, lamps. Clean it up a little bit, give it a different spin, and you know, it's perfect, it's right in style again.
We're here at On and On in Scranton, and this is the Retro Chic booth, and this is Deb Hogan. She is the owner. You have the coolest things here.
Thank you.
I love the things that you create. You're going to make us something fun for spring, right?
Yes, today we're going to be making a bird bath out of repurposed items.
That's amazing. So let's get started.
Okay, great. So what we typically use for the bird bath are 3 main parts. You're going to have a base, and then you'll have the wooden post part, and then what I use for my bath part of the bird bath is a vintage light fixture.
I love this idea. What a great way to repurpose.
Oh, thank you. And the reason why I like to use the vintage light fixture is, very importantly, it already has a hole in the center of it. So first, next to your left-hand side is the base part. So the first and foremost thing is you want to get a base that actually is heavy. Because again, you are going to put this in your yard, you're going to put it on a deck, and you don't want it to tip over, of course. So
absolutely.
So this particular base, and again, this is the cool thing about this project, is you can use different bases, you know, that you find.
Yeah.
I brought one here for an example. This is probably a vintage stand for a Christmas tree. So again, anything that has some weight to it. All I did was simply clean this up, clear coated it so that again, it will stand the elements of being outdoors.
Right.
This, the post part of it, is from a post from a staircase. The tricky part of the project is to make sure that the base is mounted securely to the bottom. That's the tricky part of this project. What we've done in this particular example is we've used self-tapping metal screws to actually attach to the L brackets of the base to the post. The other important thing that we've done, like I said, after we cut the top off, is that we've pre-drilled a hole at the top so that we're going to be using a galvanized 1-inch wood screw that we will put into the top to attach our light fixture to the top of our post.
Okay.
So we're going to be using a flat washer on the base of our post. That's just to help stabilize the vintage light fixture. So we're going to do it like that. And again, we already have our hole pre-drilled.
Right.
So we're going to be using a flexible rubber washer to put against the glass of the vintage light. Again, that's to prevent it from cracking when we are going to be putting our screw in to tighten. And then we use another metal washer just to, again, to help for stabilization. Then we take our screw and then we are going to start to assemble this.
Cheat it in there a little, right?
Yeah, just enough to get it started. And then we will attach the ratchet here, and then you're going to continue to ratchet this down until you get it tight. Now before I continue to tighten this completely, I do want to mention that what we would do is we would use some silicone caulk. We do want to make sure that this is going to be a tight seal for waterproofing.
Right.
Because again, we're going to have a bird bath,
Exactly.
so we do want to have the water in there.
All right.
So we would use silicone caulk around this part of our rubber washer. Again, as we crank it down, it would then seal it. And then we're also going to use the silicone caulk for one other part to this project. And that is, I always like to put some interesting, in this case, this one's a finial from some, again, repurposed object. And again, that's just to hide the screw and the washer so that it does look like it's a finished product.
Right.
So again, what I would do is I would put a bead of this silicone caulk around the bottom part of this finial, and then I would let that sit overnight so that it seals, you know, completely and properly.
So Deb, thanks so much for showing us how to make this. And you have so many lovely things here. I mean, you have handmade things and you have some vintage pieces as well. So if somebody wants to stop by and get in touch with you, can you give us some information?
Yes, yes. My booth is located at On and On Marketplace, which is on 1138 Capouse Avenue in Scranton. I'm also on Facebook at One of a Kind Retro Chic. And again, my contact information is on my Facebook page. I do have a phone number and also an email that you can contact me.
Beautiful. Thanks again for having us.
Thank
This
you.
was so much fun.